And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Wilbourn Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick. Michael Hamflett, sick of AEW. No, sorry, he's sick today, so unable to review AEW Dynamite. And I suppose 50% of Fighter Fest.
Indeed. We said all along we were just going to do the Dynamite portion because what happened is what we suspected would happen. They would front load the show. Everything other than FTR, who, God, they're allergic to working Dynamite, that was like heavily advertised, would be basically on the Dynamite show, and then there'd just be some stuff on Collision. And broadly, there was one or two differences, like Thekla was on Collision, but what happened as we envisaged. And I mean, I watched a bit of Collision, right? I wanted to see Ospreay, Lio Rush, and I wanted to see Thekla. So I watched those. So we'll cover a little bit of it.
Yeah, we'll touch on the noteworthy stuff. From
Indeed.
Because there was quite a big announcement on that show.
Indeed. So, so we've got some broad thoughts on AEW Dynamite, as is tradition, before we go bit by bit. And I need to talk about Hamflett's thoughts, because he's sort of, right, so you go into the building, and on the left, there's like a breakout area where there's like a PlayStation and like books in a bookcase and all the rest of it.
Or the infamous pool table.
And an infamous pool table, dartboard, and all the rest of it. And we don't play on that stuff enough.
No.
I think because...
embracing the grind too much, probably. That's
why. And football quizzes have kind of taken over as a recreational hobby of choice.
Feel free to let us know in the comments who you think has the highest percentage of converted penalties.
Indeed.
Have to take at least 50, so no Matt Letizia.
Indeed. That was his...
That was the quiz yesterday.
So I go in, and on the left is said room, and then you go through some doors, and on the next left is the wrestling office. And I thought... This is part-time. I took another day off because I didn't see Hamflett at his desk, and he usually gets in before me. So I ask Murray where he is. And because he's working through the other room, like the room with the pool table and that, because he's got a cough and he doesn't feel his best. And I'm thinking, very conscientious. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I go to get a water, and I can hear... from the room. All right, okay, well, thank God he's not doing it. And then he sends us a message on Slack saying, I'm just resting my voice, coughing a bit, resting my voice to make sure I'm studio ready. I'm like, no, you're not. I mean, you can make your own choices, but I will resent you for them. And then he goes, oh, yeah, I'm not coughing that much. I was like, I've just heard you. This is on Slack. And he goes, I might come in. I was like, look, it's up to you. Whatever. He goes, you know what? I'm probably going to sit it out, but please mention, said WWE Gareth. I mean, Michael Hamflett. Please mention that I found this show really boring. So if you want Hamflett's opinion, that's it. I, on the other hand, he was just like the veiny kid meme of like, I need to tell them. He thought it was boring. So, and he did ask me to say this.
He did, yeah.
Not necessarily in such a way, but he did ask me to say it.
I don't know. I've got the quote here. It sounds worst Dynamite I can remember in ages.
Yes, I mean that's absurd. Maybe he's just in a bit of a mood, a bit of a grump, because he wasn't happy with his 2 out of 3 Fed offerings this week, including last week's Friday, and maybe he's just I'm usually in a mood when I've got a bit of an illness, so, or maybe he just thought it was boring. I want to play devil's advocate here and try and be fair, right? Look, he only watched the first 2 hours, so you can't say that, this totally pointless filler Collision fair that only really existed because the Saturday slot was preempted, if you weren't aware. I could understand if he'd watched the whole thing, but I can vaguely see why someone with his sensibilities would... where he's coming from, genuinely. Very match heavy, especially when you've got 4 hours of it. Very, very, very match heavy. He wanted, I think, more bullsh, is what he said. He did say one of the trios matches felt a bit random party to him. I would disagree with that, and I'll go into why. For me, I thought this was very, very, very good. Probably didn't hit great. Certainly not a Dynamite all-timer.
No.
But I'm still enthused about the directions. There was one advancement of a major all-in match that I just couldn't be arsed with at all and felt like he got completely wrong, and I'll delve into why. But the trios match, that I can understand why Hamflett genuinely would not be necessarily going as wild as I would for, because people have got different tastes, different opinions. But I thought if the booking I can foresee plays out, was actually worthy of the D word.
Wow.
But we'll get into all of this, I guess.
And I want to mention a shout out to Blake Myers. Thank you, Blake, as always, for getting in touch. He often sends us sort of show reports, and he was lucky enough to attend last night's Fyter Fest, saying this is the third year I've done this with you lads. Long-time fans since you started covering AEW. Fyter Fest live thoughts, 4 hours to the Dome is way too long. The smaller venues are wonderful. Last time they filled half an arena. This time it was shoulder to shoulder with energy all night.
It looked awesome.
Yeah. Ospreay was, what was it? The Missionary Arena or something?
The Missionary Ballroom.
That was it, yeah. Ballroom, funny.
Missionary sex position. Also great banter.
That reminds me, I need your help with a bit of a Christian Cage promo later, because I got a little bit confused by what he was sort of implying.
All right, okay.
But anyway, remind me of that later. Ospreay was mega over, unsurprisingly. Mark Briscoe's Love Show charisma is only surpassed by Mina Shirakawa. The LFI Trios match had the crowd losing it. I'm glad you're sitting down, because you're going to be shocked by this. You ready?
It is. I'm to be braced.
FTR missed the peak by 4 to 5 minutes. But have incredible heat on the mic. Unsurprisingly, the best part of the night was Kenny Omega. Never seen him before live. Just the best, even when he's masking some wear and tear in a four-way. And even though they haven't done a good job explaining why Omega Okada 5 is the biggest match imaginable, that closing angle was awesome. Love the pod, gents. Look forward to me emailing you again next time they come to Denver. If any of you come to All in Texas, I'll buy you a beer and some barbecue. Thank you very much, Blake.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Really appreciate the email. Cheers.
Yeah, I love these live show reports. Do send more. Adam.wilbourn@whatculture.com if you go to any of these shows. Should we dive straight into it then?
Yep.
As I said, I'm going to bounce around. I'm going to try. I've tried in my notes to, at the right point, link back to what happened later on with Ospreay and Hangman or whatever, or just keep all the women's stuff together with Thekla after the tag match. Oh, that reminds me, I turned full heel on someone who I've mostly enjoyed, despite character-wise what they are. I despise them as a person now going forward, which we will get to. Hey, that's retention, baby. Find out who had a Wilbourn hates.
Why?
So, Toni Schiavone opens the show with Will Ospreay, and they show footage, which, the dedicated fans would have already seen because it was on Collision. But it was from bonus stuff from Dynamite last week, where Ospreay and Swerve basically got into a fight. Swerve just wants to get into his car and leave, and Will's basically saying, you need to team up with Hangman, bruv. And Strickland called Ospreay delusional. They had to be separated. Same team, bruv, same team. Anyway, Ospreay, this is on Dynamite last night, said he tried getting Swerve and Hangman on the same page, despite the fact they both hate each other. Just for one night, maybe they could realize that John Moxley is the common enemy. They can retrieve the belt and then have it out after that, basically. Ospreay said that Moxley once said that he hates what AEW has become. So Ospreay's idea is for him to piss off.
Wonderful.
People like Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman Page, Toni Storm, Kenny Omega, they are the reason why AEW is popular again. The reason why it sucks right now is John Moxley's world champion.
And folks, where's the lie?
I'm getting into him again, but I get it.
Ospreay said the Death Riders are a threat to AEW, but if Strickland opts to cost Hangman Page the world title, then he's just as much of a threat. Ospreay loves Swerve. He'd take a bullet for him, but not before he'd take one for AEW. And next week at Summer Blockbuster, we need to do maybe a thing for that. Next week. I won't do the full thing, don't worry.
I thought we need to do this.
Yeah. Next week at Summer Blockbuster. He's calling Swerve out for a rematch. And then he's interrupted by the crew. The boys are here. Get in. And they get, well, Will's baffled by this. The crowd hate them. So they do their job.
I love how much they hate specifically Action Andretti.
Leo like, hey, guys. And Action's like, what's going on? Huh? And yes, Action had a lovely line as alluded to. Sorry for interrupting this powwow between Will Ospreay and Tommy Schiavone. Shut the F up, says Denver to him. Leo Rush says he knows Brits like to talk a lot.
I mean, these podcasts legitimately have gone from, 50 minutes to 2 hours?
Yeah, we used to
over the past however many years.
Yeah, we used to do both shows. We used to do NXT and AEW within sort of an hour and a bit. Sometimes now, this podcast goes longer than the actual episode of Dynamite.
Yeah,
so, fair point.
Fair
Leo.
play.
He's just got off a 14-hour flight from Japan. Action Andretti's got the night off, but Leo's got some pent-up anger. The worst part of AEW is Ospreay's dumb ass. And Ospreay says, well, how about I help you get that anger out? We're sold out. I've got my spray tan. I've got my crime-fighting pants. Who wants a Will Ospreay match? Everyone does, of course. And he's going to face Leo Rush tonight on Collision. And next week, he'll see Swerve in Portland.
A few notes here. One, Will Ospreay's hair looks 100 times better.
Yes.
Apparently it was his missus who urged him to do it, according to him on Twitter.
Which one, the new cut or the old cut?
No, the new cut.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
So his missus picked him up from the airport last week and just looked at him and went, "You getting your hair cut?" He's like, I'm going to sort it, I've been told. Secondly, before we actually get to the Ospreay promo, which I thought was very, very, very good again, almost in spite of the material, which I'll get to. I thought that, look, I don't think anyone's got like a patent on the wrestlers are arriving into the arena, but should we just not do that? I'm not saying, right, that,
like the whole walk up.
yeah, it's the Fed thing that they do for every single show.
Yeah,
right
they've
now.
nicked it from all sports.
Yeah,
but yes.
yeah, but like and I'm not saying like you shouldn't be so dogmatic and like spiteful and stupid to not borrow what's working if you can get away with it, or if it's universal, or if it works for you, or whatever. I'm not saying there should be a blanket ban on everything you can closely associate with WWE, but it was just the WWE show opening, and there's no need to do it. I don't get anything out of it. I understand why WWE does it with those drone shots of like the glamorous big cities. It's a very, I'm tired of it. I skip through it every single goddamn time, and I think it's becoming a pattern cliche. I've seen some blowback to it on Twitter of late, but I understand that it makes the stars are descending into this glamorous environment. Yeah. It's just a trick to make it feel and look big. And it is big, but you always accentuate that, you know. One, AEW shouldn't do it. It's so, like, synonymous with WWE at this point, because that's the first thing that came into my head as someone who watches all the promotions, WWE and AEW.
Yes.
So I was like, well, this is a WWE opener. And I was a bit like, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Secondly, this was such a weird version of it. It was like, am I right in thinking? Sometimes I'm like, I'm waking up at 10 to 5 to be able to watch all of this at normal speed so I can hopefully capture everything, right? But I'm half awake, you know? And for whatever reason this morning, I was like, I could have went back to sleep, and that never happens. Anyway, so Toni Storm comes in, Mark Briscoe comes in.
Yeah.
They were like about to cut promos, and then they just cut to someone else.
Tony said something. Mark was on the phone, I think, but was like,
phone.
I'm going to kick John Moxley's ass tonight or something. Yeah,
it was just weird.
I do remember that again.
It was just janky. That I didn't know if that was like a production snafu, or they just had an idea to make it look like they were mid-conversation. I don't know. It just didn't work at all. I was just completely confused and confounded by it, personally. Onto the actual promo now. On the back of that WWE-style production opening, I got a little bit nervous about the content of Ospreay's promo, right? This is a nagging suspicion I've had for a while, and feel free to disregard it. It might be a complete load of bollocks, something I've invented in my head, but there are obvious parallels between the Death Rider storyline and the Bloodline. It's basically a heel stable running roughshod over a promotion because the head of the stable, and thus the top star, believes that everything should revolve around him. Like Roman was like, you should be happy I'm here. I don't know why people think I'm a manipulative narcissist who cheats all the time. Like, without me, this is nothing sort of thing. On a similar level, Mox is, I'm the one around whom all of this should orbit because I've got the right idea of how to do wrestling right. It's the same but different, And similarly, there is now a squadron of baby faces like there was in the build to WrestleMania 39 and 40, ready to come together, Avengers style, and bring them down.
Yes.
This idea, I'm half worried they're going to do the WrestleMania 40 stuff at All In.
The parade of run-ins.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's unfounded either. They are
see that
saying
happening.
on TV, we need to come together to bring down the Death Riders.
Put your issues with so-and-so aside. Don't stop him from winning the belt, because then you can sort it out afterwards once it's away from Mox.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get the full entrance pop, or like, I'm half worried, are they going to get Sting in to do the take a bit? You know, like I'm a bit worried. They're basically doing WWE Avengers for this All-In stuff. Why would you do that when the momentum's on your side? And I guess maybe it is all a battle of optics. And I would dare say that the optics surrounding AEW, like in collaboration with AEW's own complete systemic mismanagement of Brawlout, in collaboration with AEW's creative decline between late 2022 and the beginning of this year. So I'm not saying that AEW's problems aren't of their own making, and it's some bad faith, grifting boogeymen. But it really hasn't helped their standing. It hasn't. Yeah. It really hasn't. So I don't know why, if in fact they are going in this direction, why you would almost copy their homework. So that is a consideration. Again, disregard, it might not happen. But I do worry that it's going to happen. On top of those two WWE things, which have worked for WWE, obviously, I'm not saying they're stupid and boring and they shouldn't do it, but don't do it too often. The idea of an impromptu match.
Yeah, I thought of you immediately when that happened.
I will say, though, people who've stuck with us for a long time, our loyal and most beloved listeners will know I do not like the idea of an impromptu match. I like the idea of a standby match. I love that idea. An impromptu match is just, again, it's not something WWE invented. It really isn't. But it's something that, is something that they've done so often that it should be one of those things. Again, I said not everything, but it should be one of those things that you don't do because they are so synonymous with it. Secondly, I always like the idea of fixtures, that things get determined in advance and that it's more of it's not a filmed, obviously produced TV show, but a live sports card that happens to get broadcast, you know, and an impromptu match gets in the way of that. But to be kind, I thought this was quite inspired to do for Will Ospreay in particular because he's just coming off the back of a major clean defeat to Hangman Page. He has lost a decent amount in AEW thus far. He gave a lot to Kyle Fletcher. What I'm getting at here is he in danger of losing his aura? He's already wrestled a lot of long matches in AEW. I love the idea of presenting. I love the line, who wants to see a Will Ospreay match? When Leo Rush challenged him, and the crowd were like, oh my God, what a bonus, what a bonus. I thought, if you're going to do an impromptu match, it wasn't just something to drive forward a storyline. It wasn't just some filler thing that they can do because they've got no ideas. Obviously, AEW has a lot of ideas. They're kind of ramping with them at the moment, and that's to the benefit of the product. But I loved in this instant, even though it's a pet hate, that they did it for Ospreay, because I'm not saying he's in danger of losing his star power or anything else, but just the idea of, oh my God, on top of this 4 hours, we're getting a Will Ospreay match. I thought it was quite inspired to present him as a special attraction here.
I'm less concerned, obviously, by impromptu matches. I watch SmackDown every week. But also, I know how much it bothers you, but I also did do the mental gymnastics, I don't know what the right term is here, of Tony probably went, Right, you know those like 3, Gates of Agony squash matches. Just get rid of them because we've got a Will Ospreay match instead.
Maybe.
It is
you're
collision compared to Dynamite, but yeah, I'm less bothered by it.
As for the content of the promo, other than the, like the Netflix comes up, like, and you're putting something on for your kid, it says like mild threat.
Yes.
Other than the mild threat of AEW Avengers, it's been done. And this extent, and I'm looking forward to All In being over. I'm looking forward to the actual show. It looks incredible thus far.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to it being over. This idea of existential threat to company, WWE is at this point copying its own homework with Seth Rollins. We've seen it with the Death Riders. I'm completely over it at this point, even if I'm enjoying the final stage of this version of it. Even though Ospreay is handling material that I'm not necessarily high on. I've never been high on the idea of AEW being the fictional character in recent years. But again, he just comes off so real. He just comes off so authentic, does Ospreay. The piss-off line was great because if you're a babyface, you want to echo the sentiment of the crowd, and he had them in the palm of his hand. There was enough piss-off. Like Will Ospreay is amazing as a promo. You can actually believe in him. And he is, in fact, so amazing at this. And you can tell how much he's devoted his life to all of this and his work and all the rest of it. And he's more dedicated than most, which is why people were, quite frankly, offended by the grind comments. Like, he can just elevate stuff. And he's a key component. Like, I believe, even though they've been in AEW for a very similar amount of time, right? Copeland doing the Raw speech after the CM Punk Helwani. Ospreay doing it, you can buy it.
Yeah.
It helps that he's far more, I guess, of an AEW-coded wrestler than Cope is. Cope obviously spent virtually his entire wrestling career working for WWE, so for him to do it was just an odd choice and a really, self-own. It was very lame. But I don't know, Ospreay can get away with this stuff is what I'm trying to get at here. He can really get away with this stuff. And again, they are very slowly, or rather belatedly, tying in personal issues and professional ambition, individual professional ambition. Not just fighting for the soul of AEW, but they all want the title.
Yeah.
It's about the title and it's about conflict and not before time as well.
You're right in terms of how big All In feels, though, because obviously it's a huge event for them. But we often talk about the end of the world. When you're talking there, I was like, I genuinely, if someone said to me, name the month that All Out's in, I would have struggled.
Yeah.
I was like, I would have probably guessed September, because I'd have been like, right, well, you got that then, you got Forbidden Door, probably in September. But I was like, all I'm thinking about, I'm barely even considering Forbidden Door in the UK.
You're making a fantastic point here, Wilbourn, because what has overshadowed All In and not made it realize the potential of AEW's WrestleMania, that's one thing you can have. Borrowed from WWE, or rather Jim Crockett Promotions, is that annual huge extravaganza. Of course, you should do that. Of course, you should make it feel like there's one night of the year that's the most important. It's so, it's such an easy way of creating stakes, finality, like the end of the world, as you say, you can't miss this. So the fact that All Out so closely followed All In 2023, and the goddamn idea that we'll save the Kenny Omega singles match for the underserved market of Chicago, Illinois. Are you fucking shitting me? You shitting me? You shitting me? That doesn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the countdown. I'll even take the friggin' sign in the background, all the visual reminders of this is the next one coming up. I'll take those WWE things because that's something they've done very, very well for years and even decades at this point.
Is it just the 3 biggest matches that AEW can do right now that have been confirmed? We'll talk about the other one obviously later.
So you've got the biggest women's match they've ever done between the 2 biggest stars they've ever had. You've got the idea of the main character actually winning the big one again. Against, at this point, for mostly very real reasons, the most loathed top heel they've ever had. You've got a rematch of what many people believe is literally the very best wrestling match ever. To their credit, and we were talking about it in 2023, and to a lesser extent 2024, but definitely in 2023, the worst first impression of you cannot deny they are making this feel like the biggest AEW show that's ever been.
Did you see Mercedes' tweet regarding All In?
I'm so glad to finally be doing this. What?
She said, like, in 2023, I was lucky enough to be in attendance at the first ever All-In at Wembley Stadium. And 2 years later, I'm, fighting for the world title against Toni Storm. What happened in 2024?
I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Like,
honestly, I couldn't tell.
I still don't know. We saw before the match between Mark Briscoe and Jon Moxley, we saw that great promo that we also saw on Collision again of him talking about how, he's doing this for his son and family and to prove that you should man up and never give up and what have you. And children, his own children question his toughness, basically. I sincerely doubt they'll do that after this yet again. Bleeding a gusher, Mark Briscoe.
I wouldn't describe it as a gusher.
Not as much as a gusher as Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
But still covered in claret.
Yeah, well, covered. I'd know that was the one letdown for this match for me.
You wanted more.
I always want more blood.
Yeah. It's Jon Moxley versus Mark Briscoe. Moxley early on wants nothing to do with Mark Briscoe because he's all over him. Powders to the outside. Crowd obviously hugely behind Moxley, behind Briscoe and against Jon Moxley. They go out to the floor again with a baseball slide by Mark Briscoe, and Briscoe also stomps on the hands of Wheeler Yuta, but in all the distraction with the rest of the Death Riders, Yuta and Shafir out there, that allows Moxley to get out of the way of the cannonball off the apron. Shafir takes the referee and Yuta posts Briscoe, which does bust him open as we go into the break. When we come back, Briscoe fires up with some redneck kung fu. It's a somersault senton after an enziguri sends Moxley outside. He gets out of a paradigm shift after Moxley fires back with some lariats and hits Moxley with a lariat of his very own. He wants the froggy bow, but he jumps right into a choke. Struggles, tries to get out of it. Moxley transitions into a cross-arm breaker, and Briscoe has to wriggle just to get a toe on the bottom rope to break this up. Moxley takes the ref. That gives you another chance to get involved. He hammerlocks the arm and posts Briscoe. Shafir chucks him back in the ring. But Briscoe is not done. He explodes back up, rolling DVD, J Driller. Jon Moxley kicks out. Commentary puts this over huge. First time anyone in AEW was kicked out of the J Driller. He tries for the cutthroat driver, but Moxley again targets the arm, hits a curb stomp, bulldog choke, rear naked choke, and we get the spot where Briscoe kicks out of the corner for a nice 2 count, but Moxley makes sure he doesn't pins, holds onto the choke, and ultimately, Mark Briscoe, unfortunately, passes out.
I thought the idea behind this and what they did with it and the finish and the choices made genuinely really, really, really intelligent. Is an actual match, action. Is possible too harsh because I did get really into this, but in terms of the dynamic and what you'd expect from basically your top violent arsehole heel versus the most sympathetic wild man in pro wrestling, obviously there's a ceiling on this and they didn't reach it. Like Fyter Fest, they didn't reach it. I don't think necessarily they will. I've seen 2 of the matches now, and now you just expect Mox versus Mark Briscoe. It's got that sickos appeal where you're going to feel the just bleed, that frenzy, that real grab stuff or whatever. Didn't get it, but I love the choices made and when the choices were made and the idea of doing this match to facilitate the specific choices made, I thought was genuinely inspired. So what you are doing now, or what you should be doing now, is presenting Jon Moxley, who, yes, it was Wheeler Yuta who hoid Mark Briscoe into the post to get him bleeding, but the interference was, by Death Riders standards, early and minimal. It was a pretty clean fight right in the second and thirds of this match. What you want to do with your top heel ahead of the biggest show of the year, when people think it's time. It is time. It's time. It's gone on too long. Wasn't very good for, well, it was pretty actively rubbish for long periods of all this. But it feels effective by the end. But it's time now. And you want to create the idea of it's the end of the world, but it's going to get saved on the night of All In. What you want to do, and I still like the Derby thing. It's such a great thing. They've kind of looked into it. Yeah. People still think that because he's signed Mount Everest, he's climbed Mount Everest, that they could always wait. They've obviously told the Derby story from day one, so that's a benefit they have. But it does still feel like All In, surely it's Hangman Page. I think they've done a good enough job over the long term with this chess game of making it feel like, well, it's Jon Moxley, he's too inevitable. What becomes a bug in the week-to-week booking feels like a feature on the night, and that's the trade-off they've played here. So I do think it'll be very, very dramatic, but in order to inform that drama and to make it still palpable, you need to present Jon Moxley in the strongest possible light. It is time for the clean finishes. It is time for the choices that they made in this match. And he came out of it feeling like, well, he might win this. He might win this. I loved the choice to have him kick out the J Driller. I cannot tell you how much I thought that was such an inspired idea, especially with the big picture story that AEW was telling. The story that they are telling right now is that AEW is back, or we're heating up. If we just get rid of Jon Moxley, the big bad, the feeling can be formally declared back. We're on the way, That, the feeling that they are trying to summon is the feeling. Is the idea, this sentimental wave of, well, the baby faces are heating up, the product's heating up, we're kind of getting undeniable, and you can't deny the baby face is the winner All In. I love the J Driller in particular, because we know why Mark Briscoe uses it. It's in tribute to his brother who tragically died and all the rest of it. I love the idea of positioning Jon Moxley as this sentiment returns to AEW. As I'm not sentimental. I it's nothing personal. I know why this move, you've taken it as your own and why you use it and why it's such a powerful weapon of yours. I don't have sentiment. I'm Jon Moxley. I'm a ruthless, winning, cruel machine. I thought the cruelty here was just very, very inspired. Didn't feel cheap at all. Felt all in service of the idea of Jon Moxley's the big bad. He doesn't lose. He's not sentimental. He doesn't care about your feeling. He says he will. He's a hypocrite as a heel, but he didn't care about that. He'll kick out the J Driller. Unbelievable choice, that. And I will say that really got me that near fall, because I know and it was good that the commentators reminded you, but I know for a fact, I was like, hang on. I perked up J Driller. No one kicks out of that because it feels transgressive. Yes. But not so transgressive that it's one of those really ugly promos that you cut where you just outright say nasty stuff about someone who's died, I thought that was really sophisticated. Like, really sophisticated. Also, I thought the Froggy Bow reversal and the idea of Mark Briscoe just hanging on. He flattened Moxley's head on one of the dives to the outside as well. I got just enough action-wise, but I'm telling you, the ideas here I thought was... I love ideas. I've been on this for a few months now. I'm bored of the format of professional wrestling TV. I think it's still, to this day, you could argue, needs a radical overhaul. I love ideas. And I thought the ideas in this match were just tremendous.
We get another great Mystico highlight package following this. Grand Slam Mexico in 2 weeks, of course. And he's going to be at Summer Blockbuster next week. More on that in a little while. But, sorry, we appear to have a women's match in the first hour? David Seaman, that.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was, of course, the women's champion, Timeless Toni Storm, taking on Julia Hart and Skye Blue with a tag partner, Mina Shirakawa. And at ringside, prior to this, I should mention, out comes Mercedes. Money. I think she was meant to be on commentary, right? As in sat with the commentary team.
That was on the graphic. That was what was as advertised.
But Mercedes is so great. She was like, no. And she had assistants bring out a table for one with a tablecloth on it, wine and steak.
You get it because those are expensive food items.
Yeah.
And her ring name is Mercedes Money.
And then she had the steak well done, didn't she?
That's the ultimate heel move.
Yes, that's where I was like, really enjoyed what you know. I know you're playing a heel. That's too far. Don't take the piss, all right?
Can I shock you with my steak take?
Sure. Hang on. This needs... I wish I'd have known about this because we need a button for this. I need to find something quickly that we can... Steak take!
Steak take, okay. It is... I don't consider myself a foodie because I think if you designate yourself as that, you're instantly a...
Yeah, fair.
Like, but I do like my food. I do like to think that I've got decent taste in it. I can cook some nice stuff up, you know. It is said within, and I know I hate the word, but it's an easy shorthand, foodie circles, that there is a maximum limit of how the steak should be cooked, and it's rare. And if you're really a massive tosser, you have it blue. Maybe you just like it. Maybe I shouldn't be so cynical. But it is said that to get the very best out of a steak, it must be rare. It must be rare. It must be rare. I really like it medium.
Okay.
Medium rare, but I like it medium. I like it when it's proper, like, pink in the middle, but it isn't like, you know, when you get that translucent quality to the meat. I don't like that.
Okay.
Like that little bit of the gelatinous glisten and mouthfeel. I like it medium rare. I like the colour.
I really want some steak right now.
I like the colour to be bright pink.
Yeah.
But I want it. I just don't like the fleshy bit. Sorry.
Nicholas, what's your steak take?
My steak take. I'd probably a medium rare guy.
Yeah.
But I would have rare, but I'd go for medium rare, I think, if I was just wanting what I wanted.
It's my brain. I wish Hamflett was here. My brain hurts a little bit because my head says, Hamflett does food wrong occasionally.
Occasionally.
Yeah, I can appreciate ripping out the insides of a bread thing sometimes, but not. It's not a meal. But my brain says he does steak wrong. He probably doesn't actually, but as a result of that, my brain says he has it well done with ketchup. But obviously, that doesn't equate to Michael.
He doesn't have
Hamflett.
ketchup.
Wouldn't have ketchup, yeah.
So, but let us know. Drop your steak takes.
Drop your steak takes, and we'll get Hamflett back on next week if he hasn't taken a day off.
Did you, his rant the other day
Well,
was spectacular.
He spent 4 weeks in America. What does he expect people to think of him? He spent, I don't know, 3-4 weeks in America.
We were there for a week, and 3-4 weeks.
Mr. America.
But they think of it this way, and that's it now. He's never. Oh no, Las Vegas next year. Anyway, I got off topic here. It is Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart and Skye Blue. Storm comes in early on, and then he's used as a launch pad for Mina Shirakawa to hit a tornado. That was a cool tag team thing. Skye Blue gets out of a glamorous driver. Hart comes in, puts on a tarantula. Mercedes Money, by the way, is taking selfies during all this and posting quite a few of them on social media. Blue sweeps out Tony's legs on the apron, and that leaves her right in front of Mercedes, who's just loving this, obviously. And Blue gets in there with Hart, and they hit a sort of assisted spinning rock bottom on Mina Shirakawa to take us to a break. When we come back, Julia Hart went old school, which popped me. I was just like, this is such a weird visual. Damn, man, I'm going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, Michael Sidgwick's got something to say about that as well. God damn it.
Storm makes the save, gets taken out by Hart with an STO, though. Shirakawa hits a diving sling blade, makes the hot tag to Toni Storm, who runs wild. Drop kicks, there's press. There's a sky high on Skye Blue, and Shirakawa nails Hart with a nice spinning back fist. Storm and Shirakawa tease a kiss, but they get cut off. And then Hart and Blue both get hit with German suplexes. They do a little smooch and what have you. Dueling sweet cheek music and the chicken wing on Skye Blue leads to the submission victory for Toni Storm. Mercedes, can't believe this. And to add insult to injury, Storm is carried out by Luther to the table where she steals Mercedes' steak and wine and eats and drinks it. Or tries to. It was a tough old piece of meat by the looks of it.
Yeah, I didn't have a good time with this at all, and I thought certain very poor choices were made. But, none of this diminishes how big the match is, nor my anticipation, nor my faith that they will be able to do an even better version of that last week's promo on the go-home show, or they'll do some kind of angle. It's one of those where, in week-to-week episodic pro wrestling TV, like, even if you go to the great feuds, like, I'm fairly certain even Punk MJF might have had a week where it was like, oh, Punk beat Shawn Spears in 3 weeks because you have to do the gauntlets in AEW. There's the odd week where it wasn't the most seminal, amazing thing, even though otherwise it was, right? So I'm not getting too, negative or pessimistic about the outlook of what these two can achieve with a story and a match and an occasion and a huge chapter in women's wrestling history in the United States. I'm not saying that. This week was bad on a few levels, right? I'm very wary of the use of props in pro wrestling generally, right? Like, I don't know. The thing with Toni Storm, right? And this covers the very best of her work as well. Even though we are quite far removed from her putting like a silver plate under her trunks and hitting someone in the face and that being the finish. Could you look this up for me, please? The same night as Swerve Hangman Texas death. I remember vividly, obviously not that vividly, otherwise I would be able to recall it. But I remember dimly there being an AEW pay-per-view where this happened and a really ultra-violent match happening on the same card where it's like, right, you can do all of this stuff and just get near falls. You can put like a thin metal implement and hit someone in the face with it, and that's the finish. Yes, it was the finisher as well, but it was enough exercise in contrast.
Keep talking on.
Okay. So the match itself, right, not particularly great. There was one Shirakawa spinning back fist where I thought you've put your entire body into that, and the intent was there. Elsewhere, like I really like Mina Shirakawa, but she has nights where she doesn't look amazing. This is one of them, and she needs to retire that top rope crucifix bomb, which they explained away as an attempt at a sling blade. Basically, every time, or almost every single time she attempts to use that move, it is followed by the dreaded didn't get all of it. She doesn't get any of it at any point. It would seem, I would retire that. You can't be messing it up that many times. If you can't do it, and you prove that you can't do it week after week after week, stop doing it. For me, it is as simple as that. Another problem I had with this was, and look, I feel like I'm picking on her at this point, and I feel like I'm just going to have to live with it and just say my piece in future weeks. Julia Hart cannot anymore present herself or be presented, I don't think she has much in the way of creative control, as this supernatural leaning character, or a character who otherwise has like presence, or she's doing the Undertaker thing realistically, right? Because she was in the House of Black and she had spooky makeup because the mist infected her and made her spooky. If we're being reductive about it, now that she is completely divorced from the House of Black and the Hounds of Hell is completely on ice because Buddy Matthews' injury, the idea that she is retained
full year 2023.
Yeah, I thought it was on the right lines there. The idea that Julia Hart has somehow retained the ability to have, if not supernatural powers, this presence about her, this unsettling other presence where she can do moves associated with characters of that ilk, like Old School and all the rest of it. It's got to go away. Like now. Like now, please. She's pretty small. She's not Kevin Sullivan. She's not Jake Roberts. She doesn't have that quality. It worked for a time because the look was really good. The goodwill was there because people always thought the House of Black was cool. That's dead. She doesn't have the presence to do this spooky adjacent stuff. I need it to be gone. I cannot take it seriously at all. It's doing her no favor. She's never been less over. She was considered a bright prospect a couple of years ago. That's not the case anymore. We need to overhaul her presentation and her gimmick. Turn babyface. Turn babyface and just get rid of all of this. I hate it, and it's not working for her at all. It just isn't. Thirdly at this point, teasing kiss spot mid-match. With Toni Storm, there's always been this thing, even throughout our best work in AEW. So we've gone from the plate thing. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. We've gone from the plate thing to, which was bad. And there were times when, after some really funny tits patter, there was, remember the 2-month period where it's like, this Toni Storm stuff's really going too far. Mm-hmm. And then they've done a masterful job, really, of making it like vulgar, funny, violent, like a lot of pro wrestling-y stuff when it was starting to feel a little bit absurd in the world of AEW. There's still moments here and there throughout the entire run, even the really acclaimed and justifiably so stuff, where it's like, this is maybe a little bit too silly for what they're trying to get across here. Teasing the kiss, like you're more interested in kissing your mate than winning a match when you've got the match of your life coming up. It's serious business time now, and there was too much not serious business in this match, you know? And the post-show stuff where she's stealing the steak and they're fighting over props, there's always going to be an element of this to Toni Storm's character because it's heightened. It's like, I think it's so well performed that I forget that. It doesn't really fit. But it's just so undeniably great most of the time that you just go with it because you're an idiot if you don't. This, for me, was not undeniably great. I just felt it really... All of this felt incredibly trivial considering how massive this match is, and I hope they course correct over the coming weeks, and I think they will.
Yeah, I agree completely with everything you said, basically. Yeah,
the match was pretty poor, to be fair.
The bit where we came back, and I was like, she going old school?
Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
How do you want to do this? Right. Because I've got...
Do what?
What? I've got... That was the only women's match on Dynamite.
All right, okay.
We'll do this, and then we'll keep the ladies section together, and we'll talk about the other 2 minutes of women's action on this show or whatever. I think it was 13 minutes of women's action on a 4-hour
Unacceptable,
show.
to be fair.
We will mention as well a very pleasing return that happened on Collision. But before we do all that, and before we even get to the name of the game, we have to get to the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first theme for the first woman to come out and compete for the only women's match on Dynamite, with the idea being that, you know, recently they switched up the pattern, but more often than not, historically, the women's match has always taken place, or more often than not taken place, in the match before the main event. Down a bit.
There you go. You said Darren Bent.
With the idea being that I reckon, anyway, this is my conspiracy corner, bits within a bit, we don't do bits. Yeah.
Conspiracy corners and steak takes today.
Yeah, I know. We don't do that many bits, though.
I'm making sure there's enough compositions to cover these bits.
Yeah, I know.
We're running out of compositions, lads.
So, have you noticed that more often than not, it's in that 1 hour 20 to 1 hour 25 minute range, and it's just before the main event? And I'm interpreting, this is my conspiracy, that between them, AEW and or Warner have thought, right, okay, it's 2025. I have to put the bloody birds on, or the Wokes will kick off. Let's get it out of the way before the main event, with the market psychology here being that the audience will have that sunk cost fallacy situation going on where they'll think, I've already watched an hour of this, 1 hour, 20 minutes, get to the main event, there's birds on, I've already watched this. I don't share any of this. Monet, Statlander, Nightingale, you know, we do this every week. I'd rather see them than Paragon, quite frankly. Get rid of Paragon, you know, pay them nicely, but get rid and put more women's matches on, you know. And if we can just...
Get rid of Paragon. Put the lasses on.
It's all good stuff. And we just want to put in bold, italicize, and underscore this pattern. It's out of goddamn control. And last night it's always unacceptable, hence why we do this week after week after week. But it was particularly unacceptable. And anyway, you're thinking, right, okay, bloody hell, are you going on this long again? Yeah, sure I am, buddy. But can you jingleize it for me? I sure can. I'll do that as well. Do it all. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game, of course. The name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night. What a night.
Thank you, as always, to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, at Adam Wilton4, and Jose Palomares, at the Ho 11, the guys who always take care of the
data.
Thank you for this sort of thing. Do you have our guesses from yesterday?
Yeah.
I know mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Way off.
2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait there. Let's just get my notes. Let me get my
Indecent.
Yeah, I never know, man. I never know, and I'll never learn. And I'll learn and I'll forget. Will you stop doing that, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Descending
Dad.
order.
Stop it. Stop having fun. You do.
Michael Hamflett. He doesn't exist. I don't know why the he's got a Twitter account either. It's just a inflatable prop that we use, and I don't even like it. Hamflett, 0 hours, 38 minutes, and 10 seconds. Michael Sidgwick, 0 hours, 55 minutes, 31 seconds. Adam Wilbourn.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles off. Because this was 35 minutes and 57 seconds, according to the Panda Blair. Match time of 9 minutes and 49 seconds, which means it's a win for Dr. Fed this week, which means the scores right now are 3, 4, 5.
Close.
Yeah, lots to play for. But as we are in the ladies section, let us continue talking about ladies wrestling.
What kind of ladies?
Lovely ladies.
Thank you.
Trivialize it, yeah. Trivialize the entire bit.
Yeah, it's going to really undermine what we're trying to do here.
On Collision, before we get to Thekla.
Thekla, I think.
Okay. Thekla.
Really glad I spent all that time on the news aggregating reports of her imminent arrival that I got the name wrong. Awesome research. I'm sorry about that.
On Collision, we also had Penelope Ford and Megan Bain, who I think celebrated her birthday recently. Congratulations. Happy birthday to Megan Bain. They had Anna Jay in trouble. They're going to drop her off the stage. But Tay Melo returned. Great to see her back.
Yeah, absolutely. She really had something for a while there. She really had something. I hope she can get it back. She could be genuinely could be an asset.
A lot of usual wrestling fans. Where's she been? She had a kid.
Yeah.
Only takes 9 months. Where's she been after that? What?
You've got no idea. I love it when people in wrestling, wrestling fans out themselves as never having had a close friendship or relationship with a woman.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Royal Rumble's in 10 months, so see you then, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Let's just say there was a certain website at a certain time, late spring of 2020, where they really outed themselves as not having a goddamn clue, and I will leave all of that cryptic stuff at that.
I'll remind me about that afterwards.
WhatCulture.com/WWE. Is that our website? Not the website, obviously.
Yeah, it's another website. Yeah. But let's talk Thekla's debut then. She faced, who could have called this? Michael Sidgwick. Lady Frost. And she looks like she's going to feud going forward with Queen Aminata.
That's good.
We love Queen Aminata, yes.
That's just great.
We love Lady Frost as well, I should say, but it is a pattern.
Yes. Thekla, I would have done this on Dynamite.
Yeah.
I would have done this on Dynamite because it is the A show. It's like unmistakable how much the A show it is. And look, like Thekla might not be getting pushed as a title contender, as a massive star. I think you should probably exclusively put the debuts, unless it's someone who's like, she got the for what it was, a teaser campaign, just arrived. Toxic Spider was all over this screen and all the rest of it. Do this on Dynamite because I understand, people would be right to say I'm a hypocrite, right? Either way. Oh, I don't want to watch Collision because it's unimportant. All right, okay, well, they're doing something important on Collision. No, not like that. Mm-hmm. Put that on Dynamite. So I do get it, and but at the same time,
most eyes on the product.
I
know it's slightly different this week.
I would do this on Dynamite personally. It was a squash. There was no drama to it by design. It was a showcase of her best stuff, her best body language, her finish. She can really move. Thekla, you got the impression that she's really athletic, that she is a spider, and that her stuff.
Sorry, that's just a strange sentence. She's a spider,
obviously, because there's a spider walking, all the rest of it. it will be revealed if Julia Hart's it. I said I was going to stop piling on, and now I'm invoking as a verb. I'm really sorry. I think Julia Hart is very talented. She's just completely miscast. Just not being an arsehole about it. But she hasn't got, like, very few people have got presence, like actual presence in the way that, like, the greats had it. Like, there's no one being, Cactus Jack. You know what I mean? Like, Bruiser Brody. That's just not happening. It's a modern thing, a more synthetic presentation or whatever, or just the mystique of pro wrestling has evaporated to a large extent, and you can't expect wrestlers in turn to have mystique or what. But it's cringe when they try. It is cringe when they try. I didn't cringe much at this. There's potential for cringe.
Any chance
it's just not a spider.
We're what, 5-6 weeks away from All In? Any chance they do Thekla, Jamie Hayter at All In? Do you think?
They'll all out that, I think.
Or Forbidden Door, I suppose.
Yes. Or they could just do it on TV.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. But
we're going to put a glass over Duxie Spader, open the Forbidden Door, and humanely release it. That's what I do in my house.
I get a glass and a bit of paper. Yeah. So you get put the glass, slide the bit of paper, or usually an envelope. If I can't find card, because otherwise it's not strong enough, it's not sturdy enough, and then walk down the street and put it outside somebody else's thing, because they can't get straight back in
someone else's house.
I have to cross the road because
really?
I've done the thing before. I've just put it in the garden, and Anne-Louise is convinced that it just comes back. So I have to walk down the road, cross over the road.
Put your feet up.
I will say a very quick story. I saw a mate of mine who's got 2 young children at the weekend, and he also has some cats, and he's got a lovely wife but he's very much like, I don't deal with that sort of thing. That's your thing, right? And one of the cats brought in a mouse, dead, obviously. Like, there you go, there's your dead mouse. Brought that for you because I love you. She's like,
yeah.
She put a cake tin on it to just be like, right, that's taken care of. When my husband comes home and he can deal with that properly, whatever. I'll just go in the kitchen and make some sandwiches for the kids. Turns around, her child, who's younger than Eric, so probably about 18 months old. Mummy, mouse! She lost it. She said she watched Good Times about 50 times.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. My cat is an indoor cat.
Better, I think. It's less risky, isn't it?
Aye.
Some of those cats out there on the streets, they can handle themselves.
Putting it about as well, aren't they?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Them
all that
cats.
sucking and
Sarah,
I'm sorry, I've been thinking about if Thekla was in, I know you don't want to talk about this on here, but if she was in NXT, literally imagine someone with a giant glass and a giant piece of paper beating her, just like,
get her in Iron Survivor when she's in that penalty box. Put a piece of paper.
Bit of paper and then she's completely screwed.
Stuck.
Completely screwed.
Just couldn't get out, couldn't figure it out. I've got 8 legs, but I couldn't figure it out. Just could not get past the paper.
Right. Where are we? Lexi Nair is backstage with Will Ospreay. It's officially been announced he's facing Swerve next week. MJF walks in. He is cock of the walk when he's got these boys behind him. I'm untouchable because he comes in.
I just want to highlight that. That's great.
Yeah.
Because that justifies... The whole point really is, it's entertaining TV, so let's do it. Let's delay MJF's path to the title, But the idea of his body language, he's in his head, he's guaranteed now the world champion. That's genuinely great body language.
He walks in and says, "Stay out of Swerve and Hangman Page's business. You should, especially if Page wins the world title, because you can't beat him." And he says that Page and Strickland are animals that should eat each other. Ospreay says, I know what you're doing, Max. Also, you're not able to beat Hangman on your best day either. Ospreay goes to leave, and MJF just poking the bear. How's your son Harry doing, huh? Obviously, Ospreay, that's a pressure point, let's say, turns around, grabs him, but immediately the Hurt Syndicate walk in and Ospreay realizes, right, as much as I do want to kick his ass, it's not happening right now. MVP says, look, we got some business to take care of tonight, but hey, good luck in your match next week. MJF beaming throughout all this, by the way. And MVP, MJF, and Shelton leave, but Bobby just basically reminds him, I can snap you like a twig, mate. I love this.
I love the idea of Ospreay going against Lashley as well. What does that look like? What does that look like?
That is like a 2K screen of like someone who's just added. I saw someone had made like Hangman Page on 2K and made him fight Drew McIntyre or something. It's just like, my brain goes, what?
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley and Will Ospreay. How do you want to do this again? Remind me, I'll talk about what happened with Hangman Page and Will Ospreay after this, because this feels Hurt Syndicate based. So out they come. Obviously, huge reaction for them. Bobby used to live in Denver. Now he lives in Texas. What does he think of Denver nowadays? Big thumbs down. He says that's why he left this place. But MVP is standing in the ring with the greatest tag team ever to exist in this sport. Put together any dream team from any universe, you wouldn't be able to beat. You wouldn't be able to last with these megastars. If this is where the best wrestle, where are the best tag teams to challenge these champions? Nowhere. There's no one left, basically. Now MVP asks the crowd to show some respect for the young genius, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I mean, to be fair, you might think that's blowing smoke up his ass, but he is a bit of a genius because he did describe us as
one of the only professional wrestling podcasts that's actually worth a
wrong.
Of course not. He's entirely correct.
But he tells the dumb schmucks that he wants the AEW World Championship, and unlike the marks in the back, now he's going to have to bloody wrestle, isn't he? And he's not, he'll get over it, but
sounds like you and bloody him.
Talks about Mexico. Their top guy is Mystico, apparently. Believes he's the best wrestler in the world. Well, Mexico believes he's the best wrestler in the world, which isn't true. MJF is. The best doesn't hail from Mexico. The best hails from the United States of America.
And God bless the United States.
When MJF showed up in Arena Mexico, he sold it out. He was the youngest foreigner ever to do so. He's a megastar, and he mentions Happy Gilmore 2 coming out in July.
See the trailer for that?
I've not seen it, no.
I've seen both of them.
I think I've never actually seen Happy Gilmore,
Have you not?
I don't think so.
Oh, it is really good.
I'm not a golf guy, but I realise that's probably not.
Don't need to be a golf guy for that.
You don't need to be a golf guy. It's a comedy movie. It's Adam Sandler.
Probably should have watched that on the flight to America rather than the Iron Claw.
That feels very you-coded.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
It annoys us when he hasn't seen Wilbourn coded things.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Boogie Nights, bro.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember, I've had this thing. It's a runner, but it's a real thing. I want to watch Boogie Nights because I want to have a nice time. He's one of our close friends. Like, watch it. You'll love it so much. And then I also told Phil Chambers that he's never seen it, and Phil Chambers was also aghast. It's like, it's your film.
Yeah.
It's your film.
What was your also 1 for 1 in terms of film recommendations? What was the
Point
Panda?
Break.
That was it, yeah.
Point Break, bro.
Incredible.
Happy
Hot take for a
Hot
one.
take.
1990.
Point Break. Quite
What is
good,
it?
actually.
We haven't got lots.
1991, I think Point Break was out.
What are you going for, Nicholas?
Ooh. I don't know. 92.
It was 1991.
Yeah.
Right.
What was I going to say? Happy Gilmore 2. The second trailer, it looks like what I expected it to be. Just total fan service, bringing back characters, like sons of characters. Like, we're just doing it again because people liked it, which is fine. That's my expectation level. The first trailer, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I remember your
Adam
reaction.
Sandler in that first trailer, which just looks like bleak, is talking as if, like, I don't know, like he's on a 8-week hangover and he's been called into work, like no energy whatsoever. Yeah. The second trailer just looks like what I expect. Total fan service. We're doing it again, which I'd be happy with because I've got a soft spot for the first one.
Yeah, I am scared to go back and like with this is a good example, but I am always scared to go back when they're just like, it's been 20 years, let's do another film. I've still not watched Super Troopers 2 because I love the first Super
I've never seen the Super Troopers.
That's all right. Jackass 4, Tremors.
We're
going to watch, and then that's our big film night we're going to have.
Literally never ever going to do that.
Yeah.
Not in a million years.
Listen to the car as well. All right. Yeah. Mystico's a big fish in a small stinky pond.
Loves that. Loves it.
MJF's words, not mine. But he's going to watch Mystico's match, and if he deems him worthy, maybe he can wrestle MJF at Grand Slam Mexico.
I love that. Like, Mystico is a god in that arena. For context, a god in that arena.
Because when it comes to the Hurt Syndicate, it's not personal. MVP finishes the line. It's just business.
Can I just say before I forget, this bit where MVP goes and there's Bobby Lashley and everyone, because they're cool heels. Yay!
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention
Shelton Benjamin. Hey! And I'm the young genius, MJF. Boo! And MJF loses it. Do that every single time. Every single time.
But they are interrupted by Speedball, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Komander. Commander's furious, obviously, with what MJF's been saying, disrespecting Lucha Libre, Mexico. Everything that comes out of MJF's mouth is garbage, he says. He shouts at him in Spanish. And Mike Bailey also shouted him in French, I think it was. Or he said, "You asked for the best. We're a bunch of international killers." And MVP just laughs at him when he says that. It's quite funny in reaction. But Knight says he'll keep it short and sweet for their simple asses. Let's pop it off tonight. And it's like, here we go. No, says MVP. You haven't earned it. If you want to stand up against the tag team champions, then impress us. And they walk past them. There's a nice moment as well as the Hurt Syndicate leaving where they walk into LFI, who are coming out for this trios match.
I thought that this booking, even if it doesn't go the way I've just decided it's going in my head, was very resourceful and deft.
Whoa!
Right. The whole problem, if there even is one, I'm entertained by the stuff every single week. It's over. It's hell in the buildings. It can't possibly be considered a problem, especially since, and this is key, there's loads of other great in-ring action, bell to bell, on these AEW shows, right? Is that this Hurt Syndicate are too godly, too powerful, minimal drama in the matches, okay? And again, because there's great matches all over AEW, and there's entertainment value in these Hurt Syndicate segments.
Okay.
That I'm happy with the trade-off. I'm absolutely happy with the trade-off. It illustrates range, you know? The Hurt Syndicate matches aren't merely average compared to the rest. They are sometimes weird. Weird choices are made in them, you know? But I'll get it. This is the first proper since that awesome private party match. This is the one where I'm thinking, oh, you're going to get it all. You're going to get it all in this trios match. I'm really excited about the trios match, right? But here's the thing. So this was entertaining. MJF was great. MVP's great. Lashley with the thumb. He can do that for his entire life now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fun every single time. Oh, son of a bitch. Love all that. I think that what we've seen, I don't want to be tribal or nothing, but how to integrate working relationships and side quests, if you like, was handled so much better. I'm so sorry, Wilbourn. We've been, not indulging our tribalism on this podcast, on this episode. Kicked the living out of NXT on the Worlds Collide build, okay? MJF, he's already planted the seeds of being like an Arena Mexico headliner with the American title, the United States, the American title that he had, So he wants to go back. Quite likes that about himself. He's going to go back. I'm the King of Mexico. I'll go back and prove it all over again. And I have to wrestle. So that's tied in. Mm-hmm. I love the idea as well of, right, here's how I see it all going. And even if it doesn't, because I feel like I'm thinking there's a threat, I think that's been well established. So MJF builds the Arena Mexico show by being really like borderline sacrilegious to Mystico, which is inspired because he's going to get loads of heat. Check. Mm-hmm. He, at some point, has to wrestle because Tony Khan isn't going to sanction, on pay-per-view anyway, putting a world title contender who doesn't win matches. So I'll go to Mystico. I'll go to Mexico. I was great there. I'll beat the god of Arena Mexico.
Yeah.
Heel hubris. He has to start winning to get in this title picture. Good booking. Check. Him, MJF, being a complete dick about Mexico and Mystico, summons Komander out, who cuts pretty awesome promo that gets really over in the building. And then that deftly leads to the trios match as advertised. Check. Good bit of show-long storytelling and good flow and sequencing. Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey are obviously alongside Komander. So that segues into them, spoiler alert, winning the trios match, impressing the Hurt Syndicate, who in the post-match are a little bit, well, the too impressive. We should probably weaken these lot, if anything, ahead of next week. In the post-match, gives you the sense that could the Hurt Syndicate, it might be time for them to lose to Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey alongside Komander next week.
Okay.
And that's your all-in program. And even if they don't win, it adds a little bit of drama. I just think all of this has been potentially, anyway, plotted out really rather nicely. And it's notoriously tricky to, like, the interpromotional stuff, or the working relationship. I don't think any promotion ever has done it perfectly for a long period of time. The 2022 build the Forbidden Door. This is before Brawl Out, when everything was still apparently rosy, was shocking. I know the show was cursed by injury, but the ideas they had, when Jericho was going to put a bounty on Danielson's head and Zack Sabre Jr. was going to answer it. It's like, they're not just have a match this once.
Yeah.
Because they're the best at what they do, you know. I thought this is a really good incorporation of a potential all-in mid-card match and the Arena Mexico stuff and the idea that MJF needs to start winning and a reward for Bailey and Kevin Knight for getting over in a meritocracy and answering very reasonable complaints of why would you invest in X AEW talent? They'll show up, and then they'll start winning every now and then on Collision, and then the next one, the next shiny toy will appear. Mike Bailey isn't a shiny toy, I don't think. I was really bowled over by how well arranged all of this was. It was deft.
Just got really excited about Komander doing the rope walk into like a Bobby Lashley spear, basically.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Komander. But yes, in all this excitement around the D word, bloody messed my notes up, haven't I?
You wrote them beforehand.
I've got 5.
You did write them beforehand.
Yeah, but I must have just like caught the keyboard or something, because I've got 5/6 of this match.
Okay.
So I've got on one side Komander and Jet Speed. I don't know if that's the official name or not. I've just seen it here.
I like it.
Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight versus LFI, represented by Roosh, the man who is 20 steps ahead, Dralístico.
Well, that's The Rock.
Sorry.
Dralístico's 21 steps ahead.
Yes. Okay, fair. And then I
can help you out.
Blank. Thank you.
It was the Beast, Mortos.
Very early on, it all spills to the outside. Roosh tries to throw a drink at Kevin Knight. Bailey and the Beast brawl on the stage. Bailey's hitting him with machine gun kicks. And
Machine gun
kicks.
That's you.
That's you, that is.
Gooning so much that you're a specialist bit of you goon so much that you are a specialist bit of advanced equipment to be able to do it. The machine goon, Adam Wilbourn.
I did like the bit where LFI gorilla pressed Mike Bailey around the ring and then chucked him onto Knight and Komander to take us to a break. When we come back, Komander gets the hot tag, flies in with Hurricane Ranas. Moonsault press, gets a 2 count on Dralístico, but he comes back with a picture-perfect springboard destroyer to put them both down. Knight and Roosh come in. Knight knocks him down, signals for the bull's horns, but my favourite is when he puts the brakes on, kicks him in the face. Best, love him. He takes too long, though, obviously, and that allows Knight to hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for 2. LFI want a triple powerbomb, but instead the babyfaces hit triple drop kicks and triple dives to the floor, and Komander does his rope walk into an assisted code red on the Beast.
That looked like, what they're doing here? And then, what they've done here is actually get Beast Mortos over as a beast who needs to be felled by 3 men.
And he didn't put him down for long because LFI fight back. Roosh hits a snap German. Mortos hits a pop-up Samoan drop. Dralístico gets a springboard crucifix for a near fall. But Bailey hits a standing twisting moonsault for 2. Knight and Roosh go to the outside. Mortos hits Bailey with a huge lariat. Knight comes in to save his partner, and that gives Bailey a chance to hit Time Adventure, and that allows Komander to rope walk to the top and take out Roosh and Dralístico, whilst Knight hit the UFO splash to get the 1-2-3.
I love this. I thought it was absolutely a tremendous party match. While not on the level of even the great, not immortal Young Bucks matches, they struck that same vein here. Like, Dralístico, where do you get that destroyer from, bro? It's unbelievable. This is really well arranged to peak towards the finish. The best way of describing it, I guess, right, is like, I guess you could describe this about every wrestling match, but with a trios match, like AEW's trios match record in 2025 has been unbelievable, by the way. Like a different range of it as well. Like the one last week with which I missed the review of, didn't I?
Yes.
With Gabe Kidd, I thought it was absolutely awesome for what it was. This is completely different. Like, it's such a shame they don't care about the division, because the range and it's always 4 stars for me. Sometimes above, but like usually just that beautiful sweet spot. But the final third of this, when like it's all getting arranged and people are popping up and there's saves and then there's and all breaking down, is like, think of it as like that needle going back and forth of like, am I into this? Am I into this? And then it just goes, it just feels like a rush. It feels like a total and complete rush, especially the trio genre of when you're like just completely locked in. Like, you've lost your mind, you're just completely engaged, you're exhilarated. I entered that rush state watching this. I thought it was so well done. Like, really, really well done.
Post-match, the Hurt Syndicate came out and said MVP congratulated them despite getting their asses kicked for 10 minutes. They pulled off the win, and their prize is facing Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and MJF in a trios match, and they try and give them a taste of what they're going to get right then and there, but they get knocked to the outside. MJF gets taken out by a Komander springboard. And, babyfaces stand tall. Hurt Syndicate furious.
Yeah. No, like, I don't know who you pin. But put it this way, right? We said all along, all right, Shelton, nice to see him. He's been really good. He's going to end up eating pins. They haven't actually done that, They really, they've done the opposite of that. It's going to mean something when they get pinned. Maybe it is time.
Yeah.
Because what else are going to do it all in? And I think Bailey and Knight deserve it. Yeah, Bailey in particular.
There's no one else. There's no obvious, like.
There's no babyface team other than them. And then it's like, it's another thing I love about it. It's like, well, hang on. I remember thinking, like, this is the penny drop of what a great idea. And I'm telling you, ideas are my thing now of, because I'm thinking, who's a babyface team that's going to go up against the Hurt Syndicate? Hence why I said on the review, maybe they could, because they're fluid, be situational, play babyface against the Young Bucks. I don't know at this point. And I thought, Christ. Who were the baby faces in the best tag team match of the year? Don't say for Axiom, because it was Jet Speed against the Young Bucks for me. Yeah. And of course, like, they should get all in.
Right. This is a long... About half an hour ago, I was talking about Will Ospreay, and I said I'd come back to this because we have to mention Will Ospreay fought... This is going to confuse me after this bloody LFI match. Lio Rush on Collision.
I watched that and Thekla.
Thoughts?
It was fine. It's one of those where it's like, you say it's fine, it sounds like a Raw match. It was obviously incredibly well worked. The feats of athleticism, tremendous. But by design, it was just a lively, breezy TV match sprint that never strived to be like the best match of the night. And again, furthering the idea that Will Ospreay is perfecting the idea of being a TV wrestler because he doesn't have to go alls out, balls to the wall every single time. Lovely little TV sprint. Nothing more, nothing less.
And I'm right in thinking post-match, that little weasel action, Andretti jumped Will from behind, and Hangman Page...
I love how he's got a bespoke chant. Like they could have something with the crew.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem
if they had one more member.
Yep, indeed. They could have something
make
with
the
trios
crew champions if they had that extra
Yes,
member.
because there's 3 awesome heel tag teams in AEW in form. Hurt Syndicate, Bucks, FTR. Like all I don't think the FTR and the Bucks have ever had so much good fortune at the same time in terms of how over they are. The crew trios, I like that idea a lot.
But yeah, Hangman makes the save for Will. And there's a nice fist bump between the two of them. Hangman gets on the mic and says, Will's got his back, he'll have his back as well. But to be clear, he's his own man. He doesn't need help to win the title, not from Ospreay and not from one of the worst men to ever walk this planet. He doesn't need help from the man who threatens the safety of his family for his glory. Last week he made a promise, and tonight he's going to make another one. He does not need nor will he ever accept help from Swerve Strickland, but he will ride into Texas, defeat Mox, and take that briefcase and the title and raise it above his head for all of us. All in Texas will be his night. Moxley slid in during all this. But Ospreay's back with chairs, and Claudio's got a chair too. Oh, yeah, Claudio, Yuta, Marine there, obviously, as well. But Moxley calls off his gang.
You know what? Maybe my fears that I expressed in the intro are unfounded. And unlike WrestleMania 40, where it's like, they're well-established, we're already mates, we've come together before, good guys, come and help. Maybe the idea of Hangman and Swerve doing the full reconciliation, and then maybe that's a completely different and well-earned spin on the idea. You know what, maybe I shouldn't be such a pessimistic arsehole.
I've got to say, ever since those two flirted with the idea of maybe they're going to reconcile, I've been dreaming of the moment where it happens actually in the match at the end. Like, they're all getting them, you know, like
okay.
Do you remember I guess it's the 39 one, right? Where Kevin and Sammy all come down. Everybody's getting that moment. Is it 39 or 40?
39, yeah.
39. And Cody doesn't get it done, though, right? But everybody came down and had that moment, and we were all watching it feeling like that was perfect to end it on. And then obviously they do the unbelievable 2.99 kick out.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about the Swerve turning up for that match since that got teased. And like, that's surely got to be the payoff. If, like, they all managed to get it right on the night and then beat them rather than like pre-match maybe.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Different,
I like that.
Different shade, because there's still that little, I don't know if they'll help on the night.
Swerve sat there watching. You don't have to see this, but obviously you can envisage Swerve sat in the back watching this going, I hate him, but this isn't right.
Yeah. And like, there will be people, dickheads, who will go, it's just a shame. But that would be a time not to worry about them and just pay off this incredible story that people have really enjoyed.
Were you here when, I think it might have been last week, when me and Hamflett came up with Aaron Solo Sikoa accosting Hangman Page?
No, I was off.
I was sadly here for that.
Just make a note of it.
I don't see much. I don't think you should be allowed to cover AEW together. Used to. Just saying. Let us know if you agree.
Alicia Atu's backstage with Daniel Garcia and Paragon.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I was just about to try and get him. Maybe next time.
Let's have an 8-man tag against Don Callis family, says Adam Cole. Garcia says there's a lot of things he wants, and I noticed he was looking at Adam Cole's TNT title when he said that. But yeah,
I hate wrestling so much, bro.
Let's fight them tonight, and they did on Collision.
Yeah, no, didn't watch it
Me neither.
yet. Adam Cole, please go to WWE.
Yeah, I don't think there's any arguments from the Dudleys here, really, is
I'm
there?
not talking to him. I'm just talking to Triple H.
Yeah. Lexi now is backstage with the Patriarchy. They put over Nick Wayne's performances in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. And Cage's like, yeah, sure. But he did have an impressive showing. But he did have, it was a grueling schedule, 14 matches in 22 days, but no excuses. He lost. That schedule would earn anyone a night off, but Nick Wayne isn't anybody. He's the son of Christian Cage. And, of course, of Nick Wayne's mom, who's got it going on. He's the ROH TV champion. He's going to defend his title tonight in Denver. And Nick Wayne's like, all right, great, fantastic. You know, you did this to me before I left for the Best of the Super Juniors, and it was light work for me. And Cage is like, yeah, but tonight it's a 4-way. And Cage then, I don't know, like, whether he'd been, you know, in attendance in watching the Best of the Super Juniors, or he just had a really grueling schedule, but he said he needed to lay down with Mother Wayne.
Oh, no, you've missed this.
What?
No. He's talking about sex. He's going to her.
Right.
And given that he needs to lie down with her, that would indicate to me that, not from behind, but, not traditional doggy, if they're lying down together. Either, I would suggest to me, flattened doggy or missionary.
Yeah. And
One of the two.
they're in the missionary ballroom after all.
So probably missionary then.
Either way, full penetrative sex.
Full penetrative intercourse.
Yeah. But instead, they were going to be at ringside to watch the match. And Kip Sabian's working on something big, apparently. Thoughts?
My thoughts are, I remember when Kip Sabian was like stealing the pen and stuff like that. Oh, God.
I'll never forget that Dynamite, though. That is like ingrained in my memory. Not yet, mate. When he jumped up. No.
Not yet, mate.
Back down. Poor Hangman Page. Get out there. I meant to jump in. There's nothing to jump in on there.
One of the best in the game, though, Hangman. That the improvisation to do the Christian. Yeah.
He's the best, man.
Yeah.
But he's not the best wrestler alive. That is Max Caster, who's out with his petition. And the chant is over with the crowd. They nail it, even though he says that was bad. He also insists the referee sign his petition. But he has a 5-minute thing on the screen now. Let's see who can survive with the best wrestler alive. Powerhouse Hobbs. Kills him. I think he got an eye poke maybe in there. But he went for a springboard axe handle and got killed with a spine buster.
Yeah, I quite like the countdown. Either it's a funny sight gag of he can't even last 5 seconds, much less 5 minutes because he's such a loser, or maybe they could spin it into one day. Hang on. He's going to do something here.
He's going to get a draw,
Yeah, who knows? There's potential there.
Yeah. Hamflett liked that, didn't he?
And he doesn't like anything.
One of the few things he put over
like that.
in our message.
Oh, did he? All right,
Like
okay.
Caster.
Yeah.
What was my reply to...
He wrote, Hurt Business was a bit of an off week. Mox Briscoe was SmackDown. I liked Max Caster. Michael Sidgwick. And that was the entirety of the...
The was in response to an earlier message, I think.
The trios, yeah.
When he's talking about the trios and random, and I was like, it's like, not random, it's got directions. You love directions on Tuesdays. But what was the picture I replied to him with?
Yeah, he wrote, I'm not, I'm going to go home, lads. I'm not feeling great.
Oh, has he gone home?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't see him in the room.
Yeah.
He could be dead for all I know.
Yeah. Articulate how I thought it was really boring. Worst Dynamite that I can remember, as Nicholas mentioned. Talks about Omega Okada, which we'll get to. And then you just replied with the stand-up for WWE meme.
Yeah, sure did. I was waiting for him. Like, I don't know if you've ever used Slack, but it's like, it'll say, your name is typing. And then, the longer that message flashes up, there's like a wall of text coming. I just had it loaded up. For as soon as I saw the message delivered, I was just staring at Slack. Enter. Take that.
I just realised as well, my entire contribution to this whole conversation where he's like, lads, I'm not feeling great. Do you want me? I might call it. Because he wrote the words little horse. I just posted a picture of a Shetland pony and called it. There we go. That's my contribution here. My work here is done.
His voice was a little hoarse, you see. He's chuffed with himself.
Give me an open goal like that. I'll bury it, thank you very much. Main event of the evening now. Main event of Dynamite, I should say, was the international title on the line.
It was the main event of my evening as well.
Yes. Kenny Omega versus Brody King versus Mascara Dorado versus Claudio Castagnoli. Take flight for Omega's entrance rather than Battle Cry. Which one do you prefer?
Well, I like Battle Cry for a non-title defense. Devil Sky still the best. It just is. Battle Cry for if they must, and it's not the law, guys. You don't have to do this. If they must play, and they shouldn't, the entrance themes before a run-in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Battle Cry. Or if he's going to interrupt the promo. you don't have to do the music for that neither. Battle Cry. This Omega. I'm starting to like it and be able to hum it as well.
Like that. They all teamed up on Brody King at the start. Felt sorry for him.
I mean, you would, though.
Well,
strategy. Good strategy.
Fair point. He kills everyone anyway, regardless. This was just bonkers. Anytime anyone got sort of like, oh, okay, I guess they're in control. Oh, no, here comes someone else. Omega, slingshot crossbody on Claudio. Dorado, Tornillo on King. Dorado gets launched into the crowd by King. King wants to hit a cannonball against the barricade on Claudio. Dorado comes in. He's like, well, I'll just kill both of you then. Powerbombed him onto Claudio and hits the running crossbody against the barricade. But then Omega's there to Snapdragon Brody King on the floor and hit a Terminator dive onto Claudio and Brody as we go to a break. When we come back, Omega hits half of You Can't Escape, but the bit where he goes for the moonsault, Claudio gets his knees up. King's bleeding. He just
He looked like a wounded animal in the later stages of this match. Wow, oh my God. I love accidental blood, man. It's the best.
Just casually picks up Dorado and the Fireman's carrying DVDs him onto Omega in the corner. And then Claudio comes in, who just hits a massive pop-up uppercut for a 2 count. Omega hits a V-trigger, goes up in the corner, but King cuts him and Claudio off. He wants a superplex, but Omega cuts him off. He wants a one-winged angel, but Claudio hits a doomsday uppercut for 2. Here comes Dorado, drop kick to Omega, and then just gets chucked outside by Claudio. King tries a superplex again, but he gets sent down to the mats. Dorado springboards off his back, wants a Hurricane Rana on Claudio, but he counters that into a powerbomb onto Brody King. Omega hits a load of V-triggers, tees the one-winged angel on Dorado, who counters that into a poison Rana.
He took it right on the dome.
I thought you were going to say
right on the dome. That's my goat.
Claudio and King hit big lariats on everyone. Everyone's down, basically. Claudio managed to get the giant swing on Brody King. Dorado hits the mid-revolution drop kick. Claudio hits a double stomp. The neutralizer hits on King, but Omega just breaks the count up. Everyone trades some pins. There's a pop-up head scissors by Dorado on Claudio. He also hits a springboard Hurricane Rana. A shooting star press and a Fosbury flop to King on the opposite side. He wants the top rope Hurricane Rana on Omega, but he gets caught, spin around, and Omega hits the one-winged angel for the 1-2-3 to retain his title.
I thought this was excellent. Not like TV match of the year caliber quite. I thought like various matches I've enjoyed, I think, more than this, like Bucks versus Jet Speed as an example. Nonetheless, like a comfortable 4.25 star. And I thought that the storytelling, which is kind of rare for a match that exists to do some cool action, let's face it, let's be realistic, I thought was really well arranged and logical with how Kenny Omega ended up winning. Like, he's really good, Kenny Omega, at preserving the mystique of big men. And I think it's Kenny Omega, if they're in a room sitting down, I mean, I think he's going to be the one who's responsible really for like laying it out. So maybe I'm wrong, but I would credit him with the layout. I loved how basically right towards the finish, like Brody King and Claudio just got way too obsessed with having their big pissing contest and their like Battle of the Giants, to the point where, and some of it looked so awesome and like borderline physically impossible. Like when Claudio does a pop-up uppercut to Brody King, it's like, are you taking the piss with how good you guys are, with how strong you are? It felt like two massive bosses in a video game just decided to start beating each other up. And because they were so preoccupied with each other, that informed Dorado's like incredible, dazzling late flourish. And that was like, all right, well, Omega can sort of, he's emptying his tank here, I can then sort of pick the bones here and give them the one-winged angel. So I thought that was beautifully arranged. If anything, which is weird, I said on the preview, like, I was worried that was going to go a bit too long. And it did go long. And I don't think they necessarily made the most amazing use of the time across every single second. But Dorado's finishing flourish was, in fact, so great that everyone was going Lucha Libre in the crowd, and then I think they could have had 2 more minutes of a match within a match with Dorado and Kenny. I don't think they capitalized on or sort of sensed just how over Dorado was going to get with this late flourish. Some awesome sequences, too many to really list, but like that's kind of expected. I'll tell you the bit that I really liked before I finally shut up was, you know how wrestling's just weird? Like when Steve Austin broke his neck, right? Like he almost became a better wrestler for the role he was in, as in crossover mainstream star, because his work was so like basic and universal that a larger crowd came to watch it, you know? Obviously, he would never want to break his friggin' neck. But you can make the argument that like if you are limited creatively, like within the range of that limit, you can do like much more powerful work. I talk about rules in wrestling should exist all the time, you know. Kenny Omega's diverticulitis is this unbelievable storyline driver. That Takeshita match remains a masterpiece for me. I think it's one of the few matches that you remember in modern times anyway that get better with age. So he does You Can't Escape to Claudio, right? And this has happened a few times, to be fair. Like years before he got diverticulitis, years before he was broken down a bit more physically, and he wobbled on his feet. Again, this has happened quite often. Instantly, he wobbles in his feet. It's like, oh, the diverticulitis is kicking in again. Or, you know, my core strength has let me down. That's the thread. And then he goes to the top rope, and that's when Claudio gets the knees up. And because it's such a great, like, cover for if something he does in the ring doesn't go 100% perfect, he can always go, oh, what can I do? My core strength's not what it was. Like, he can mask botches perfectly now. To a point where when he did the moonsault and Claudio, I think it was, got the knees up, I'm thinking, has he, because he's done this before as well, has he botched the landing of You Can't Escape? Which, to be honest, is one of my least favorite Kenny Omega things, because it always looks like he's just bouncing his head off that mat, you know? If it comes off, it looks amazing. It's always been my least favorite Kenny Omega move, that combination. But now it's like, if he kind of wobbles a bit, you go, my core strength's not what it was. But because Claudio got the knees up, I'm half thinking, because he intentionally botched it when he was doing the compression gimmick, I'm thinking, is he wobbled there to justify not doing the moonsault perfectly to allow Claudio time? And if anyone has that mind for detail, it's Kenny. Even if he doesn't, he can make it seem like that because of the core strength thread that he's doing in his matches now. So I had a great time with this, but it met my expectations, which, while high, weren't as high as I would ordinarily put up for a Kenny Omega match.
I suppose, to a certain extent, you can understand why they did it like this, because all everyone can talk about is what came next.
Yes.
The coin drops, out comes Kazuchika Okada. They've both got their titles. They're shoving it in each other's faces. Fight kicks off between the two of them. Okada hits a body shot to the abdomen, as you alluded to. And there's an attempt at both a Rainmaker and One-Winged Angel. Okada's got his lip busted, I think, in all of this. That was sort of the close of Dynamite, but during Collision and obviously subsequently, it has been confirmed. The Dream rematch, I suppose. 4th rematch, would it be, technically?
Yes.
Yeah. The Dream rematch, the huge match loads of people have speculated on. Winner take all, everything, you know, hopefully.
All the marbles.
Yeah. Omega Okada confirmed for All In, Sidge.
Yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to talk too much about it because I feel like I'm going to repeat myself quite a bit over the coming weeks. One thing I will say is that you got a wonderful reminder of how Okada mastered that counter-driven New Japan style. He always looks like he's just about to take the One-Winged Angel in these brief exchanges we've had in AEW thus far before scurrying off, you know? Which is another glimpse into the fact that they've got a chemistry that they'll never lose. Rather than preview it outright here, because again, I'll probably end up doing that multiple times over the weeks to come. The conversation is, have they promoted this well enough? It's a match graphic after some teasers, and they've each got a title. How do they promote it effectively? They need to do more. They need to do more. Like, this was a hot building and a beautiful venue. People aren't losing their minds at the idea of, I can't believe we'll get to see this in person. people are online, but it's exclusively from stuff that happened literally at this point 7 years ago.
Yeah.
There's time. There is time. The mere idea of it is a sell, but you have to articulate this idea, sell the idea. Like the roster talking about what it means. I would have Tony Khan on TV, pre-taped, not the live mic. Tony Khan talk about how blessed he is to have got Okada in the first place so he can do this match. Have the roster talk about, like, even if it's worked comments, just have members of the roster come out and say, I thought I was good before I watched this. And I didn't even know anymore after that. It knocked my confidence. I don't know, but they have to do a video thing of what it means to have the roster involved and all the rest of it. Have one of them scripted. And I don't usually go for scripted content, but just have one of them say, I thought I was good before I saw this match. I didn't know what I was doing with my life after I saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of massive sell.
Be very interested to see what this does with ticket sales.
Yes.
I think it's a big ticket driver.
Should be.
Attendance for,
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see, even if you could have the idea of, it was the bittersweet one. It was the one that wasn't as good as the New Japan ones, but God damn it, I saw it. But we'll go into this more, I suspect, as the weeks go on.
Yeah, exactly. But let us know your reaction to Omega Okada being announced and your thoughts on Dynamite, Fyter Fest, everything in the comment section below or on X.
Everything except Collision.
Yeah. Including your steak takes. At WhatCulture WWE. What I say, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow our producer, Adam Nicholas, at...
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me, at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE, as I said. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Get well soon to Michael Hamflett. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.